Jordan Schusterman, Yahoo Sports. What was it like being there? I assume you've never been here before. What were your takeaways being in the midst of the madness?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Since the moment we got out of the plane and you got kids waiting for you, and then especially for me that we got Team Venezuela there waiting, and happened to get on the same bus with them, and I didn't know till I think we took off from New York that the team from Venezuela was from my hometown. So it was pretty cool just to talk to some of the coaches, some of the kids, asking like what part of the town they were from, and I was just sharing my experience. And, I used to play in that little league field. It was pretty cool. And then once we got to the field and just looking around and so many kids, and it just brings you back so many memories, when you were that age. It was just pretty cool overall.
Yeah, what were those conversations like with the kids from Barquisimeto?
The conversations with?
The kids from Venezuela.
Yeah, no, it was just kind of like, who's your coach? What part of the town are you from? Like favorite players? Would you like to be a major league player? What are you doing to do that? Tell him school is important, but there's so much going on around them that I'm talking to one kid and Juan Soto walks by or Francisco Alvarez walks by. Like, it was hard to maintain that conversation, but in general, just keeping it light and keeping it fun.
Carlos, seeing some of your players interact with some of these kids, did it bring out a side to some of them that you didn't know was there, kind of how they were interacting with the kids? Was that cool for you to see? Yeah,
and I'm watching the kids, staring at Francisco Alvarez or Francisco Lindor, and you just see that smile in the face, like, oh my God, this is Francisco Alvarez or this is Francisco Lindor. And it just kind of takes you back when I was that age, and being around professional players, even from the distance, or walking to a baseball field, and just the fact that they were able to be that close with them. It was a pretty cool experience overall.
Carlos over here. Sorry. Did you have any connections with that town? Did you know any of the coaches or the players or their families?
Not necessarily the coaches, but people that I know or play with, they're close to those coaches, So it's kind of, everybody knows who you are. Everybody knows who is who, especially when it comes from the baseball world. Just kind of like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. I play with this guy. Yeah, how is he doing? Just more of that.
And would that have been a team that you had played with when you were growing up?
Any what?
Would that have been a little league team that you would have played with when you were growing up, since it was from your town?
Yeah, no, but I didn't play with this team.
Okay.
Yeah, is that what you were asking?
I mean, yeah, like
No.
You know what I mean?
This is kind of like different kids, but I never played. This is kind of like a new organization.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Carlos, just talking to some of the players leading into today, they talked about how they expected this to be an exciting experience, but it was also like a business trip. What's kind of the biggest challenges for you just going into today to, keep the guys kind of centered moving into an important game for you guys?
Yeah, no, I think it's just a different routine, It's an early wake-up call, and it seems like on schedule it's like a pretty long day, but it really isn't, You get to the ballpark and it's 1 o'clock, which is, by the time that you normally get to the ballpark as a player for a 7 o'clock game. But once you get here, it's business, like we got an important game. We're playing a really good team, and it's an important game for them as well. So it should be fun.
When you see guys like Sean Manaea, I think it was Brett Beatty, sliding down the hill, what are you thinking with those guys doing that?
Mixed feelings, don't get hurt. But at the same time, they're being who they are, and just having fun with the kids, interacting, and just, going through the whole experience. So.
Hi, Carlos. So for you, how excited would you have been to have an event like this when you were a kid growing up in Venezuela?
How excited? I'm having a hard time listening.
Sorry. How excited would you have been to have an event like this when you were a kid?
oof, if I had an opportunity to have an event like this, man, I can't tell you, just getting out of Venezuela, and that's kind of like what these kids are telling me, and the coaches, like, they've been on a pretty long road trip here, but just to be able to compete internationally, because you play locally, nationally in Venezuela, but facing teams from other countries and kind of like see where you at, as far as the competition goes, and just different culture, different language and food, and kind of like what I went through when I first came over as a player back when I was 16 years old. Kind of for them is experiencing this for the first time, and it's just pretty surreal for them, and just like, man, I got a glove from, I got a new bat, I got a batting glove, I got to look at this hat, like, it's just pretty cool.
And I saw that you and a bunch of the players had Mets gear for the kids when you all got off the plane. Whose idea was that, and how cool is it to be able to give them something?
Yeah, it was organizational. Starts from the top, and I think it was a really good gesture for us to give something back, and it was as simple as a hat. For those kids, for those coaches, it means so much. And sometimes we take things for granted, that just by hanging out a hat, a pin, you just put a smile on people. So I thought it was a class act for us.
Anything else, Mendy? Okay. Go, Tim.
You said this day takes you back to when you were a kid. What is like a memory that stands out most to you about playing baseball at 11 or 12 years old?
Yeah, I mean, you're having fun, you're competing, but just the joy, and even from the stands, I remember, especially from where I'm from, and from Latin America, it's pretty intense. It's loud. You got trumpets, you got drums, you got everything. You got your mom is singing and things like that. And just listening and being around kids, it's just the atmosphere. It took me back, way back.
Just the carryover effect from what McLean did yesterday. Do you feel like that could give you guys a boost going forward, just him having performed like that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was pretty impressive. And I feel like Senga on Friday, Sean on Saturday, I think it was, gave us, Fanawena gave us 5, and then you got another outing where the starter goes back out for the 6. Like, it kind of is contagious. Same way when one guy struggles, they start feeling pressure. But now it's more like, all right, we got a guy here too, so that is going to be able to help us. So it definitely helps, and hopefully they can carry on.
With Clay tonight, he's obviously been working on a lot of things to try to get out of the rut. What do you hope to see from him?
From who?
Holmes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. Look, attack, throwing strikes, using all of his pitches, making adjustments, kind of read swings and sticking to his strength. But I think it comes down to throwing strikes and executing.
No. One more, yeah.
Everybody knows, we see the numbers that Pete puts up. Behind the scenes, in the clubhouse, on the plane, what are some of the things he does that we don't see that kind of contribute to the kind of person, the kind of player he is?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about winning for Pete, doing everything that you could possibly be doing every day to get the job done, his preparation, his routine, how invested he is at his craft, especially when it comes down to hitting, very vocal on haters' meetings. Then just the way he goes about his business. He posts, he wants to play every day. We all see that, but it's just the willingness to win every day.